Mr. Saakashvili,
President of Georgia. Well, he started with a rather seemingly bizarre strategy and approach towards the reform process which he organized.
You really can say that again. You remember that we actually prompted our viewers, letting them in on what exactly he's been able to achieve in his country as a president. Well, being the youngest then, in his early 30s, he became president. Remember then they also had issues with South Ossetia, I remember then, and how he was able to peacefully resolve that crisis. Chamberlain, we had a lot to learn from him, and he said, just follow your heart and follow your mouth, your heart rather, and heart. I think the bottom point of this all is that, well, the model he's been able to employ there is a workable model, and and I'm hoping that Nigeria and Lagos specifically should also see what they can draw from that, irrespective of what they've been able to share. Partnership, it counts here as well.
Well, it's interesting because, he talks about the police force, he talked about the customs, he talks about education. For instance, he says, once upon a time, Georgia had the worst crime rates in Europe and the world, the worst corruption rate in the world. Almost everything was not going on right with the country, but they started out with the reforms. Fired every member of the police force, fired every member of customs. He almost fired the entire country, but they had results eventually.
Honestly, it sounds so funny. It's amusing, but again, one good thing was that finally all of that amounted to something, to the extent that the World Bank ranked them ninth then in terms of ease of doing business, while most of the country's neighbors were ranked somewhere in the hundreds. So doing business reporter founder then, Simeon Jankov, also gave Georgia as an example to others. I'm talking about reformers during the annual Reformer Awards. I'm hoping, really hoping that this wouldn't be one of those talk shops who have people that have actually tried out so many fantastic things, and by the time they share them with us, it is swept under the carpet. But I think Lagos has shown that over time, over the years, this is the seventh in the series, and they have been able to tell us that all of the outcomes have all been implemented. So let's hope that they will be coming out after the end of this particular summit will be also adhered and followed strictly, to the extent that Lagosians and Nigerians will be better for it.
Well, interestingly, he also did talk about when you're going about some of these reforms, you will have people, naysayers, I like to refer to them as, and he says, well, the thing is, you have to listen to your heart. Part of what he also says in terms of the strategy or the approach you have to adopt in order to get results is get people who will own the problem. He says you need to bring people on board who believe this is their problem. So if that happens, you begin to get it right at that stage. And they had results eventually. The first developing country in the world to enter the World Bank's top 10 ranking. They had the world's fastest registration of companies. Now, we've looked at ours here. We'll talk about the ease of doing business index in the world. We see where Nigeria ranks, how we need to improve, and all of those. But again, he reminds us, he brings us back to that issue in terms of what we need to do. Well, much as they're doing something about it, but when he says that they went about the reforms and had some of these amazing results, it leaves us wondering.
Well, Chamberlain, I think, you've said it all, but we really must go back and see if a country like Georgia has been ranked as number one economic reformer of the world during the time of Misha, Saakashvili. I'm hoping that truly this will be taken very seriously. You said something about having people on board who really can do what they should be doing is very, very key here, irrespective of what these people stand for. I think the basic thing that we should think of is how well can they deliver. And if you look at Lagos State, and to a larger extent even from the level of the government at the center, they've been able to handpick some people who are not politicians. These people really must be taken into account, and we have to see more so that it doesn't look like a drop in the ocean when we talk about technocrats and people that actually can deliver. And don't forget, Chamberlain, we asked a question this morning on Sunrise Daily, and the question was, how well can some of these advice, or should I say ideas from those people be taken into consideration. So we must go beyond the era of saying, oh, you can advise, it's left for me to take or not to take, because in the first place, you have actually asked this person to come on board because you believe that this person has got something to offer. So let's just hope that now is the time for us to adhere and follow through and through the advice of the experts, of the researchers, the advice of those people that will be coming to help us, irrespective of what we're doing as a nation. On the issue of power sector reform and corruption, all of those people that have been brought on board should be listened to, and the appointments shouldn't be based on political affiliation or leaning or people who can actually suck up to you.
Well, there you go. Remember, earlier on in the day, we also did have Dr. Doyin Kasumu, who was talking about the private sector participation in this entire economic summit. And again, we heard the governor of Lagos State telling us that, look, we just provide policies, enabling environments to facilitate and enhance or improve, if you will, the private sector functioning in this state. And then he also says, look, with those policies provided, we have the private sector who drives these policies, and there underscores the importance of the private sector participating, driving development, which he says that is what it should be, reminding us again that Lagos, not aspiring to be a mega city, they are already one, and he says you just want to be a model mega city. So,
well, for those just joining us, when you talk about reminding us, I wish to also remind our viewer, just in case you just joined us, this is the 7th Lagos Economic Summit, Ehigbeti 2014, and the theme this year is Powering the Lagos Economy, Real Opportunities, Endless Possibilities. And I had to, guess what I had to, because I've been actually trying to get the word, the real meaning of Ehigbeti. I had to go all out. I was looking for some Yoruba folks, and some people really couldn't get it until I got a hold of what it meant, that truly the present Lagos Island, where we're situated today, actually was the hub of commerce then. And when we talk about the first contact between Nigerians and people from the Western world, it occurred here on Lagos Island. So they talk about the waterways, and they also talk about those people that have actually brought goods and services here to Lagos. So I think better 2014, this is it, and this is the way to go. Lots and lots of economic summit happening, and we must see the development that these things can bring to the people. And Chamberlain, transportation is key, power sector is key, but there's something that the governor also said about the informal sector. If you're barber, I can actually get electricity. You can imagine how much he will be saving when it comes to servicing his generating set, even purchasing of that and getting diesel or petrol. So this all amounts to something that we all have to key into. And I think this is sufficient time for us to tell ourselves the truth and also follow any kind of model or template that we have actually set out for leading us to solving the situation or the problem that we are already in.
well, yes, indeed. It's still the 7th Lagos Economy Summit. You know what they say? Communication theorists always tell you that communication is not necessarily complete without feedback. Well, perhaps in recognition of that theory, I think Betty comes up with this question time, and let's just take you through some of what you see here and see some of the questions already popping up on the screen, comments pre-submitted by some of the participants in this one. So let's take you to all of those ones and see if we could find some more interesting comments. Take a look.
And answer these two questions. Let's put our hands together. Here, sir.